Tonight marks the 100th anniversary of a notorious moment in baseball history, the White Sox losing to the Cincinnati Reds in the 1919 World Series. The scandal that followed stained the sport's reputation and is still talked about to this day.
Picture this. It's 1919, and the Chicago White Sox are on top of the world, a powerhouse team poised to win the World Series. The stadium is packed with ecstatic fans, the atmosphere electric. But beneath the surface, a dark secret is festering. Dirt cheap wages and abusive treatment by the owners led the players to conspire with underworld gamblers. It was a plot that would forever shatter the illusion of fair play and send shockwaves through the nation. 8 men, baseball heroes, sold their souls and a World Series. This is the story of the Black Sox Scandal, a tale of greed and the ultimate betrayal of the American dream. In the early 1900s, baseball was America's largest entertainment sector and the country's favorite pastime. It was a symbol of hope and unity, a beacon of light in a world still reeling from the devastation of World War I. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the thrill of victory. It was a shared experience that transcended social class and united the nation. But beneath the surface of this idyllic image, a darker reality was brewing. The players, despite their hero status, were often treated like indentured servants, bound to their teams by the reserve clause and subject to the whims of their owners. This simmering resentment, fueled by meager salaries and a lack of respect, created fertile ground for discontent and a willingness to take drastic measures. At the heart of this scandal were the players themselves, a group of men whose names would become synonymous with both baseball brilliance and infamy. Leading the charge was shoeless Joe Jackson, the team's charismatic left fielder, a natural talent. Jackson possessed a swing so smooth and powerful that it was said even Babe Ruth, the Sultan of Swat himself, sought to emulate it. But Jackson wasn't the only star on this powerhouse roster. Eddie Chicot, the crafty veteran pitcher, was a master of deception on the mound. His knuckleball, a pitch that danced and dipped unpredictably, was the bane of hitters across the league. Buck Weaver, the steady and reliable third baseman, was a fan favorite known for his defensive prowess and clutch hitting. And then there was Chick Gandil, the scrappy first baseman with a fiery temper and a penchant for off-season boxing matches. This was the team that Charles Comiskey, the shrewd and often controversial owner of the White Sox, had built. Comiskey, a former player himself, had a keen eye for talent and a ruthless determination to win. He had poured his fortune into assembling this all-star lineup, and in 1917, it paid off. The White Sox dominated the American League, winning the pennant by a resounding 9 games and then crushing the New York Giants in the World Series. But victory came at a price. Comiskey, notorious for his tight-fistedness, had promised the players a bonus for winning the championship, only to reward them with a case of cheap champagne. The gesture, seen as a slap in the face by the players, fueled their existing resentment towards the owner and laid the groundwork for the discontent that would ultimately lead to their downfall. In those days, baseball players were treated like commodities, bound to their teams by the infamous reserve clause. This draconian rule prevented players from negotiating with other teams, effectively giving owners complete control over their careers and salaries. The players, despite their hero status, were trapped in a system that favored the wealthy and powerful. This simmering resentment, coupled with the sting of Comiskey's broken promise, created a perfect storm of discontent, leaving the players vulnerable to the temptations of those who promised a way out of their misery. By 1919, the White Sox were a dynasty in the making. They dominated the American League once again, clinching the pennant with a staggering 88-52 record. Fans were ecstatic, their hopes soaring as the team headed into the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds. It was a matchup that seemed destined for greatness, a clash between 2 titans of the sport. But the stage was set for a different kind of drama, one that would play out not on the diamond, but in the shadows of smoke-filled back rooms and illicit gambling dens. Lurking in this underworld was Arnold Rothstein, a notorious gambler and kingpin of New York's criminal empire. Known as the Brain for his sharp intellect and ruthless business acumen, Rothstein saw an opportunity in the White Sox's simmering discontent. Rothstein, with his vast fortune and connections to organized crime, had the resources to pull off a daring scheme. He enlisted the help of Sport Sullivan, a gambler and former boxer, to act as his intermediary. Sullivan in turn reached out to Abe Attell, a former featherweight champion with ties to the baseball world. The plan was simple yet audacious. Attell approached Eddie Chicote, the White Sox star pitcher, with a proposition that seemed too good to be true. In exchange for intentionally losing the first game of the World Series, Chicote would receive $10,000 up front, with an additional $20,000 if the White Sox lost the series. The sum, a small fortune in those days, was enough to tempt Chicote, who had long felt underappreciated and underpaid by Comiskey. Chicote wasn't the only one tempted by the promise of illicit riches. The offer spread through the clubhouse like wildfire, preying on the players' financial insecurities and resentment towards their owner. In the end, 8 players, Shoeless Joe Jackson, Eddie Chicote, Lefty Williams, Chick Gandil, Swede Risberg, Happy Felsch, Buck Weaver, and Fred McMullen, agreed to throw the World Series for a combined payout of $100,000, a staggering sum at that time. The stage was set for a betrayal of epic proportions. The 1919 World Series, once a symbol of national pride and sporting excellence, would become a rigged game, a sham orchestrated by greed and corruption. The Black Sox Scandal was about to unfold, leaving an indelible stain on the history of baseball and the hearts of fans across the nation. The series opener was a shock. Eddie Chicote, the White Sox ace pitcher, the man with the unhittable knuckleball, looked like a shell of himself. He struggled with his control, consistently missing his spots and serving up pitches that the Reds devoured. The Reds won the game 9-1, a stunning upset that sent a ripple of unease through the White Sox fan base. Was Chicote just having an off day, or was there something more sinister at play? Game 2 brought no relief for the White Sox faithful. The team's normally airtight defense seemed to have vanished. Routine ground balls turned into errors, fly balls fell untouched, and base runners advanced on wild throws and botched plays. The Reds capitalized on every mistake, cruising to a 4-2 victory. The whispers of a fix grew louder. Sports writers and fans alike began openly questioning the team's effort. Could this be a string of bad luck, or was there a deliberate attempt to sabotage the series? As the series progressed, the suspicious events continued to mount. Lefty Williams, another of the White Sox's star pitchers, turned in a lackluster performance in Game 4, allowing 8 runs in just 5 innings. Shoeless Joe Jackson, known for his aggressive base running, seemed to be going through the motions, barely jogging out routine ground balls. The once unthinkable was happening. The underdogs were on the verge of sweeping the mighty White Sox. The evidence of a fix was becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. By Game 5, the whispers had turned into shouts. Sports writer Hugh Fullerton, a respected voice in baseball, penned a scathing article for the Chicago Herald and Examiner. In his analysis, Fullerton meticulously dissected the White Sox's performance, highlighting several key points that raised red flags. Fullerton noted that the oddsmakers had significantly underestimated the Cincinnati Reds, implying that insiders may have known the series would not play out as expected. He pointed out how Chicote and Williams, 2 of the league's best pitchers, had inexplicably struggled on the mound, serving up easy pitches and missing their spots. He highlighted the uncharacteristic errors made by the White Sox's normally stellar defense, suggesting a deliberate lack of effort. He detailed specific plays that seemed intentionally botched, such as missed cutoff throws and questionable base-running decisions. Fullerton alluded to the simmering discontent among the players, hinting at potential motives for their lackluster performance. Fullerton's article, titled "Is Big League Baseball Being Run for Gamblers with Players in the Deal?" sent shockwaves through the baseball world. It was the first time a major publication had openly questioned the integrity of the World Series. The public's trust in the game was shaken, and the stage was set for a scandal that would forever change the course of baseball history. The whispers of treachery hung heavy in the air, mingling with the smoke of cheap cigars and the clinking of glasses in the city's clandestine gambling dens. Word of the fix had spread throughout the underworld like wildfire, a secret too juicy to contain. But as the rumors swirled and the stakes grew higher, cracks began to appear in the conspirators' carefully constructed facade. Billy Mahard, a former ball player turned gambler, found himself caught in the crossfire of his own moral compass. He'd witnessed firsthand the insidious underbelly of this scheme, the cold calculation with which the players had sacrificed their integrity for a fistful of tainted dollars. The weight of the deception grew heavier with each passing day, gnawing at his conscience until he could bear it no longer. In a dimly lit corner of a seedy Chicago bar, Mahard met with a reporter from the Philadelphia North American, a man named Charlie Owens. With a trembling voice and a heavy heart, Maharg spilled the beans. He recounted the secret meetings, the hushed conversations, the exchange of bribes. He named names, implicating not only the players but also the shadowy figures who had orchestrated the fix from the shadows. Owens' story hit the newsstands like a bombshell, igniting a firestorm of outrage and disbelief. The public's trust in baseball, the sport that had been a source of comfort and inspiration during a time of national turmoil, was shattered. The players, once revered as heroes, were now vilified as traitors. The scandal reached the highest levels of government. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office launched an investigation led by Charles Gorman, a seasoned investigator known for his unwavering pursuit of justice. Gorman, a no-nonsense lawman with a steely gaze, assembled a team of detectives and legal experts determined to get to the bottom of the conspiracy. The investigation was relentless. Subpoenas were issued, witnesses were interrogated, and evidence was meticulously gathered. The players, initially defiant, soon crumbled under the weight of the mounting accusations. One by one, they confessed, their stories corroborating Maharg's revelations and exposing the depth of the betrayal. The scandal had reached a tipping point. The truth, once hidden in the shadows, had been brought to light, revealing a web of deceit that would forever change the course of baseball history. The Black Sox, once a symbol of American pride, had become a cautionary tale of greed, corruption, and the fragility of trust. In the summer of 1921, the grand jury's findings led to the indictment of 8 White Sox players on charges of conspiracy to defraud the public. The trial that followed was a media circus, captivating the nation with its tales of greed, betrayal, and the dark side of America's pastime. The players, facing the prospect of jail time and the end of their careers, were a mix of defiance and desperation. Some maintained their innocence, claiming they were victims of coercion and manipulation. Others, overwhelmed by guilt, confessed their roles in the fix, revealing the details of the plot and the extent of their involvement. Despite the overwhelming evidence against them, the players were acquitted. Key evidence, including signed confessions and incriminating letters, mysteriously disappeared, leaving the prosecution with a weakened case. The verdict, met with outrage by many fans and sports writers, underscored the challenges of proving such a complex and secretive conspiracy. But the legal system's failure to convict did not deter Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, the newly appointed commissioner of baseball. Landis, a no-nonsense jurist with a deep love for the game, saw the acquittal as a threat to the integrity of baseball. In a move that shocked the nation, he banned all 8 players from the sport for life, declaring that their actions had forever tarnished the game's reputation. The Black Sox scandal left a deep scar on baseball, a wound that took years to heal. Attendance plummeted, fan morale dwindled, and the sport's very survival seemed in jeopardy. But from the ashes of this scandal, a new era emerged. Judge Landis's decisive action sent a clear message. Baseball would not tolerate corruption. His unwavering stance helped restore public trust in the game, paving the way for a series of reforms that would strengthen the sport's integrity. The commissioner's office was established, granting Landis broad powers to protect the game from future scandals. New rules were implemented, including stricter penalties for gambling and increased security measures to prevent outside influence. The Black Sox Scandal, a dark chapter in baseball history, ultimately served as a catalyst for change. It forced the sport to confront its demons and emerge stronger, more resilient, and more committed to fair play. The scandal's legacy is a reminder that even in the face of betrayal and greed, the human spirit and the spirit of the game can prevail. It's a testament to the enduring power of baseball, a sport that has weathered storms and scandals, emerging each time with renewed vigor and a steadfast commitment to the values of honesty, integrity, and sportsmanship.